welcome back. Now let's talk about power, the power situation in Nigeria. In every developed country of the world, electricity is the engine of growth, development, and personal comfort. On socio-economic levels, citizens and consumers require three things from their power provider: electricity delivered safely, reliably, and affordably. So the question is, how well has Nigeria fared on these three expectations? We have our guest in our Abuja studio. He is the Executive Director, Engineering and Technical Department Services, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited, Mr. Ife Oyedele. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's
Good morning, Nigerians. And thank you, Yomi and Neota.
Okay, let's talk about the power situation. Just on Tuesday, we had that blackout. So let's look at how far we have come before then and where we are now.
Well, that was an unfortunate incident that happened as a result of the fire incident on the pipeline, on the Western Axis pipeline. And that's been worked on now. I can confirm that by this morning, the finishing touches have been put into it. And I think latest by Monday morning, that ruptured pipeline will be restored to service. But otherwise, I think that Nigeria is doing very well. Today, Nigeria has a capacity, available capacity of over 13,000 megawatts. As you are very much aware, we are now, TCN is now able to wheel over 7,000 megawatts, and just this month we were able to deliver to the consumers over 5,200 megawatts, and that's the first in Nigeria. And I think that in spite of the skepticism around, government should be commended for these efforts.
Okay, but are the efforts good enough for where we are supposed to be as a people?
Oh, more than good enough. Of course, this government didn't come in with any magic wand, but they promised that they were going to do certain things systematically. And I can see this progress over the 2 years that this government has been in power. You can see that when we had always been talking about 3,000 megawatts, and I'm sure that you speak to your neighbors, and you also have power supply in your home. A lot of my friends, when they see me these days, they tell me, they testify that power supply to their homes have improved. And I think that's the testimony, that's the truth.
Are you sure?
Yes, we have a few problems here and there.
Mr. Edele, if I may come in here.
For instance.
If I may come in here, Mr. Edele, are you sure the power supply is improved to their homes? Because a lot of, maybe your friends are telling you it's improved. But a lot of others.
Without any.
But a lot of other people are moving to other means of getting electricity without using generators. So they're not even looking at the power holding company or its affiliates in any way whatsoever, just so that they can have power. The question is, the issue of funding, has it been what it's not been what it should be? And we keep talking about money and all of that. We need to move from here. Is this where we ought to be?
Obviously, if this is where we ought to be, then this government will have nothing to do. The truth of the matter is that we were not where we ought to be. But this government came in with a program to improve power supply from where it was when we were talking about 2,000 megawatts, when we were talking about 3,000 megawatts, to move it to 10,000 megawatts. Today, the available capacity in Nigeria is over 13,000 megawatts. And I can tell you that about 4,000 additional megawatts are coming up. Now, the problem in the past was that we were unable to wheel this stranded power. And you can see the improvement that we have made over the short period. For instance, the TCN is working very hard, and today TCN is able to wheel over 7,000 megawatts. That's an improvement. Now, the question is consumers. And you know that the issue of distribution to homes and to consumers is in the hands of private discos. About 11 private discos were licensed, let me use the word licensed, before this government came into power. And the efforts of the Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing with his team to ensure that they can, and NEC to ensure that, and other regulatory agencies to ensure that they can improve on their services is well known. Don't forget that there are some sections of the country that had problems. For instance, where in the local governments where I come from, the southern part, the southern local government, Central District of Ondo State. Prior to the elections, 3, 4, 5 years, we didn't have power supply. And government is working very hard under the able leadership of the Honorable Minister of Power to ensure that the technical problems are resolved and power can be wheeled to these places. Yes, we are not where we are. The ultimate aim of government is to ensure that Nigeria can steadily grow to the ultimate of 100,000 megawatts.
Okay,
it has to
Mr.
be in steps.
Let me read up.
Yeah.
Let me read something out. Okay, go ahead.
Because when you say power generation is more than good enough as we are now, DSO, that is Daniel Sheon, is saying that please tell Mr. Ife Oyedele that he is wrong to say citizens should thank government for power they pay for. This is wrong, as they are not providing services being paid for. Don't take Nigerians for granted.
Yomi, I didn't say that we're where we ought to be. I said we know where we ought to be, but that is an improvement. I mean, 3, 4 years ago, Nigeria was struggling with available capacity of less than 3,400 megawatts. Today, we have 5,000 megawatts, 200 megawatts. TCN is able to wheel 7,000 megawatts. No Nigerian is unaware of the fact that distribution of power has been privatized, and this is being handled by discos. And it is obvious that there are gaps which this government is working with all of the regulatory agencies to ensure that that gap is filled. So that is the point I'm making. Of course, nobody is happy that we don't have power available to the homes. We are desirous of, for instance, of ensuring that people are correctly metered. We are desirous of ensuring that people have reliable, uninterrupted power supply in their homes.
Okay, Mr. Oyedele, we'll come back to talk more about all of the things that you're planning to do, and of course the tariff, this payment and what the people are charged for electricity. Just stay with us on the program.